I'm doing a quick video for Homebrew Wednesday. Not quite certain if this is supposed to be filmed on Wednesday or uploaded on Wednesday, but I'm filming it on Wednesday and then I'm going to upload it probably tonight, maybe Thursday, not sure. But it's still Homebrew Wednesday. So what I'm going to bring for you today is a couple different beers that I've made, well, this one I made with Kenny's help, but this one is an old ale of mine. It was kind of an Arrogant Bastard clone. I called it, because I was entering it in a historical competition, everything was kind of Norse themed, so I called it Loki, parentheses, that Arrogant Bastard ale. Because if you know anything about Norse mythology, Loki is quite the Arrogant Bastard. So I thought it was kind of fitting. It came out about 6.5%. Kind of had that, was pretty hoppy, kind of had a nice malt backbone to it, nice, almost red color, so it was pretty close. I mean, obviously, when you say you've got an Arrogant Bastard clone, you're setting yourself up to some pretty high expectations. Not quite what, not saying it's there, I'm saying it was mildly close from a homebrew point of view. Now, two things about this. This has already been aged for about a year and a half now. So the hops are probably diminished greatly from this. This is also my very last bottle of this. So I'm going to share it with you guys. And what else was I going to say about this one? I forget. So anyway, this was still when I was bottling with my tap water, which is pretty bad. Since then I've made a switch to using bottled water. I actually do like to do distilled water, so I have a totally clean baseline, and then I add salts to get it up to it. But this was with still tap water. I noticed that with most of the tap water brews that I was doing, they had kind of a similar flavor profile running through them. Wasn't really an off, I guess it was kind of an off flavor, but I'm pretty sure it was the water, because once I fixed that, it went away. So let's crack this open and get into it. See how it goes. I'm going to use a New Belgium glass. Taking care to leave some of the sediment down there. So, still pretty nicely carbonated. And you can see it's kind of got that brown color to it. It's not very clear. It's got some haze to it. That's obviously a flaw. Wow. After about a year and a half of maturity, the hops have pretty much all fallen out. Well, it's actually, to be honest, this is about 2 years old. But I'm getting a really nice maltiness that I didn't remember before. Almost kind of like a Belgian brown. That real bready malt. Well, let's give it a taste. See how it's held up for a year. It's definitely still pretty hoppy. Tastes very different than the aroma. The aroma is pure malt and breadiness, but there's hops all the way through it. It's not like it hits up front or just in the finish, or starts sweet and finish. There's hops all the way through it. But it's really got a pretty nice malty sweetness to it that also runs through it. So it really, now at this time, it really doesn't taste anything like Arrogant Bastard. But it's still a good beer, you know. I mean, as a homebrewer, what do you do when you're kind of at the mercy of what the yeast does and some other factors? So what I try to do is I try to hit a given style or whatnot. I have an idea of what I'm going for and what the flavor profile that I want. But then you know, sometimes it doesn't turn out quite that way. But what it's kind of good to do is to step back and take a look at it and analyze it for now what it is. and see what actually it came out and see if that's still good. I mean, yeah, you can learn from. The trick is to try to learn as much as possible, and to try to use that the next time you go to it. Figure out what was wrong with, what was different than what you wanted to hit, and versus what you actually did hit. But also analyze what you did do and on its own merits, and say, okay, what style is this? What did I create? I have a good example of that kind of thing coming up here in the next beer. I actually really like that now. I have no idea how I would make that again. So this one is an IPA that I made. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Got a little bit of foam on that. This one I made recently with Kenny. So this is only a few months old. We got a nice carbonation on that. Pretty nice golden color, golden amber orangish a little bit. Not quite amber, well, amber, yeah. And a little bit of haze on it, but then again, also these are really cold too, so it might be chill haze, but still, you know, pretty hazy. Not pretty hazy, but not as hazy as the other one. Now with this one, I did something a little different. I put a little. Here's what I was going for. I wanted to make a double IPA. So I had about 16, 17 pounds of grain in there, and I wanted to, and I had hops all figured out, and I was going to do something a little different and add a little crispness to it. So I added some kaffir lime leaf and a little galangal, like Thai ginger, and a little bit of lemongrass to it. So I wanted to kind of do a Thai, like kind of a Thai PA is what I called it. So I thought it was kind of a neat idea. Unfortunately, here's what happened. While I was brewing and getting ready to start up with the sparge, the gardeners showed up, which is bad, and they start blowing grass all around the area. I freak out. I totally forgot that they came on those days. It was a Wednesday as well. Totally freaked out. I was right about to start the sparge, and I ended up rushing through it, effectively not really getting a sparge on it. So I only had like about a 56% extraction rating, which kind of brought it back down to an IPA. Didn't really add enough spices, I don't think. Be interesting to see if they've kind of come up in prominence a little bit. So in my attempt to make a double IPA, I ended up making an IPA. So you're getting a little something else, a little bit of the perfuminess from the spices in the nose. A little bit of hops in there, some malt, some of the bready, biscuity kind of malts. Let's go in and see how it tastes. It's pretty good. Easy drinking IPA. Does definitely have quite a bit of hops. Actually, this one's right on the verge of being like a pale ale. It's a little hot, a little too hoppy to be a pale ale, and just a little under hopped for being an IPA. So it's about 5.5% alcohol. It came out nice. It's kind of a nice sessionable, drinkable beer. It's got a little hint of something else going on there from the spices that I used, but in the end, not what I was going for, but still pretty drinkable, you know, nonetheless. So learn, you know, kind of always, what I always try to do is with my styles, you know, go ahead and shoot for something, take your notes, make sure you keep tons of notes while you're brewing, so that you can always try to figure out what you could do better next time. But then, at the end result, even if it's not what you want, it's not shit. You know, I've heard some homebrewers are like, you know, they give me I try a beer and it's really good, and they're like, well, yeah, no, it's actually it's kind of shit because I wanted it to be this and it's not, it's this, and I'm like, yeah, but it is this over here, but it's still really good, so you know, take that into account and give yourself credit for that as well, at least. You know, so like I said, I learned quite a bit on this beer of things not to do again, but in the end, it's still, I think it's a pretty okay drinking beer. I wouldn't say this is great the way it is. I need to do a few more brews of it to try to really kind of dial in this recipe, but I learned a lot about what to do next time. So hopefully next time when I brew it, I'll bring that to you as well and let you try that. So with this one, I'm going to bring you one of a stout that we did. I just poured that one. I actually thought this was a different beer than it was, but this is one of our. Kenny and I have done a couple stouts, and unfortunately, I didn't label it, so I'm not certain which one this is. But we wanted to make a really nice roasty stout, and you can tell. Let me get a little bit of head back up on this, swirling it around. You can tell looking at that. That's got some viscosity to it. It's got some really dark, I would say mahogany head on that. Real nice. The aromatics is lots of coffee, dark coffee, roastedness, but not like super in your face about it. It's a little more subdued, but yeah, it's definitely roasted coffee, dark chocolate. Yeah, that's what it is, but it's not super aromatic. It's not super just like hammer you over the face with coffee, but let's give it a taste here. It's got a really nice roasted flavor profile, and the finish is real long. It does have a lot of that coffee, chocolate bitterness. The hops have made that really kind of bitter, dark chocolate coffee finish really linger. We did two. One was about 6.5%. One was about 8%. Honestly, I'm not certain which one this is, but it's got a lot of nice roastiness. Roastiness is really the key on this one, which is kind of what we were going for. So, but it's a little lower in alcohol than we wanted, so we need to step up the alcohol a bit. But the flavor profile is real nice stout. You could almost call this a coffee stout, but yeah, and people would definitely believe it. But we didn't use any coffee. It's just the roasted malt to it. You really do get that. If you've tasted roasted malt, if you've gone up and actually just munched on the raw toasted malt, you really do get that finish on it. That really dry, bitter kind of finish that you get from that. That just kind of lingers and stays forever. So there we go. I brought you 3 homebrews for Homebrew Wednesday. So hopefully I'll have this up later today. If not, it'll probably be Thursday. So, but cool, guys. Keep on homebrewing and drinking great American craft beer. Cheers.